Shalom and welcome to Simchat Yisrael. A Jew in 1st century Jerusalem wanted to throw a party for all his friends. He drew up a guest list and sent his servant to invite all the people, including a man named Kamsa. However, the servant accidentally misread the name and instead invited a man named Bar Kamsa, who his master greatly disliked. Bar Kamsa was delighted to receive the invitation, but when he arrived at the party, the host took one look at him and ordered him to leave at once. Bar Kamsa was embarrassed to leave the party in such a way and offered to pay for the cost of his meal if he could stay. The host refused. Bar Kamsa then offered to pay half the cost of the party if he could take part in it. Once again, the host refused. Finally, Bar Kamsa offered to pay for the entire cost of the feast, if only he would not be shamefully ejected from the party. The host coldly rebuffed Bar Kamsa's generous proposal and his bid for friendship and sent him away. As Bar Kamsa left disgraced, he saw the rabbi standing silently, there in action condoning their host's unjust behavior. Bar Kamsa left the party, and in his rage and humiliation, he went straight to the Roman authorities and delivered a slanderous report about disloyalty and rebellion among the Jews. The next day, the Romans decided to brutally quell any thoughts of rebellion among the Jews and slaughtered the inhabitants of Jerusalem and burnt the Holy Temple to the ground. This is the tragic story of Tisha B'Av, the anniversary of the destruction of the Second Temple and a national day of mourning for the Jewish people. The 9th of Av has become synonymous with tragedy for the Jewish people. As well as the Second Temple, Tisha B'Av is the date of the destruction of Solomon's temple, the anniversary of Bar Kokhba's revolt, the day the 12 spies gave a bad report, the beginning of the First Crusade, the day the Jews were expelled from Spain, and the day the final solution was approved by the Nazis. And so, Jews mourn and fast and read the Book of Lamentations on the 9th of Av. But outside of Orthodox circles, Tisha B'Av, it goes largely unobserved. In fact, there's an argument to be made amongst Messianic Jews that it's inappropriate to observe Tisha B'Av. Why should we mourn the destruction of the temple when we have the risen Messiah as our high priest? Is Tisha B'Av irrelevant today, or can we still get something out of this holiday? I think there are a few encouraging things Tisha B'Av can still teach us. Before we begin, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel down below. Every great story has a bad guy. Think Pharaoh in the Exodus, Haman in Esther, or the serpent in the Garden of Eden. In each of those stories, the plot is driven by an outside entity, a destructive force that seeks to bring conflict and devastation to our heroes. But who is the villain of the Bar Kamsa story? In the end, the real villain of the Bar Kamsa story is us. It's not the Romans or a sinister foreigner or Satan. We did this to ourselves. But this teaches us that tragedy and suffering can be preventable. In life, there are some misfortunes that cannot be avoided, but others are the result of bad decisions and poor choices that we make of our own free will. And this can be tremendously liberating when we realize that most of our suffering comes not at the hands of some outside entity, but from our own mistakes. It gives us authority over our own lives again. The story of Tisha B'Av teaches us that the worst tragedy of our past happened because Jews mistreated each other. But it also teaches us that we can have a better future if we are good to each other, if we love each other more, if we can overcome the hatred that has divided us in the past and embrace each other instead. Tisha B'Av isn't just about mourning the past. It's about learning from our mistakes so we can have a brighter tomorrow. In the 3 weeks leading up to Tisha B'Av, we read the Haftarot of destruction, 3 scathing rebukes given to Israel by the prophets Jeremiah and Isaiah. One admonition after another after another. After 3 weeks of it, you can start to feel really down, but then you turn the page. You get past Tisha B'Av, the day when it seems the darkest, and all of a sudden you enter into a time of hope. For the next 7 weeks, from Tisha B'Av until Rosh Hashanah, we read the Haftarot of consolation. These are messages of hope, comfort, and closeness with God, and they promise a time of ultimate redemption in Messiah. In the end, if you get past the tough times, there's twice as much good in this season as there is bad. Life is a mixture of good and bad times. But when we live with Yeshua, there is more good than bad. The lesson of Tisha B'Av is that no matter how dark the day is, God promises that it will only get better from here. Tisha B'Av is an ominous day on the Jewish calendar. Dozens of tragedies have happened on this day. You would think that every year as the 9th of Av approaches, Jews must be bracing themselves for the next tragedy. But there is a tradition that for all the terrible things that have happened on Tisha B'Av, there will be one more momentous event that occurs on this day. The Talmud teaches that on the day of Tisha B'Av, when Jerusalem was sacked and the temple burned, the Messiah was born. The rabbis teach that in every generation, on Tisha B'Av, the Messiah waits to be born so that he can redeem the Jewish people, if only we would merit his coming. We who know Messiah Yeshua may not hold to this tradition, but once again, Tisha B'Av teaches us something powerful, that in the heart of our darkest times, when things seem to be at their absolute worst, when it seems like there is no good in this world, God shines a light of hope into our lives. If the Jewish people can hope for the Messiah, even as the temple burns, we can hope in Yeshua, even in the midst of our own fires. Even when it seems like our life is crumbling down around us, we can have faith in the living Messiah. We don't know when Yeshua will return. Maybe it will be on Passover, maybe Sukkot, maybe just on some random, unexpected day. But maybe, just maybe, he will come on Tisha B'Av, on a day when we need him the most. Tisha B'Av is a difficult holiday. It can be sorrowful and somber, but it also teaches us that our future need not be so. That where we go as a people is up to us. It teaches us that there is more good in life than there is bad, and that wonderful things are just over the horizon. And it teaches us that the light of hope that we have in Messiah Yeshua is always shining, even in the darkest of times. Shalom and thanks for watching. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe. And don't forget to visit simchatyisrael.org to learn more.